often the med device, medtech industry is where pharmaceuticals was in the 80s and 90s. And you saw we reached a position where 25% of all the US users in terms of pharmaceutical is exports out of India. So we are very nascent industry at this point in time. If you look at our contribution to on a global scale, we comprise only 1.65% of the overall med device, medtech industry. And pretty much all the ingredients that you need to create a medtech company or a medtech industry of scale are here. To be good engineers, you need metallurgical skills, polymers, pharmacological skills, clinical skills. Pretty much all of that has been here. And I guess this is also the state of evolution of any country where phase one was to make the country self-reliant of pharmaceuticals, and sort of the large base with some great entrepreneurs gave us the ability to create multinationals of scale over a period of time. So we are at that juncture, and in my mind, even if you look at the industry growing at about 5% globally, if the industry itself, which is $400 billion now by 2047, if it is grows at 5%, it will be almost a $2 trillion kind of industry. And we should have the right of the sort of 17% of the global population that we have. And by that is, sheer math, we should be the size of the global industry at $400 billion. But it's easier said than done. 75% of what we use currently is imported. And pretty much a lot of that is a reflection of what is happening in the automotive industry. But look at where automotive was again 30, 40 years back, and now they have evolved over a period of time. We think that we are on a similar pathway. It's much more complex because there's a massive regulatory pathway that you have to adhere. There's a global harmonization that is required for the Indian medtech to be acceptable. The quality paradigm really has to be set in place because these are high precision products. These are products that they use to save lives, and we cannot afford to sort of make any kind of compromises there. So in my view, it's a very, very long journey. We're just at the foothills at this point in time. We are about 800 odd strong, domestic manufacturers. But we will see a very steep curve over the next decade or so. And that will really help us to take our industry international. And, one other point is that the China Plus One is a good tailwind that we had. So Pharma had the patent tailwinds in 2000, in the early 90s. We had the China Plus One, which is in our favor. Now it will be up to entrepreneurs to some of the big companies of scale, which are high precision and extremely high quality, and take it to the next. The regulatory element again here is a little more complicated because of the usage of different components, different materials, and the supply chain is very varied. The kind of processing that we use makes it much more complex. Now, in 1992, a global harmonization task force was set in place, and the entire objective was that can we create an equanimous quality system across the globe where the quality is pretty much the same and that the regulatory pathway then follows. And that has been a work in progress because on various elements, whether it is the clinical studies, whether it is classification of the categories, whether it is the the usage of the products, all that it needs to be put into practice. How do you manage pre and post usage of the product? Because even in India we don't really track the post market surveillance is still rather limited. So what has happened over a period of from 1992 to now is that particular harmonization platform has got about 30 directives that the world is using, but the regulatory pathway in our kind of business keeps on evolving because now you have IoT, now you have technology that is playing a very, very large part in terms of also data management. So how will you marry the sort of new technologies along with the precision that the product brings to the patient. That becomes very important. At the heart of it, ensuring quality is the most important element. Ensuring that the precision of the products is absolutely necessary. Making sure that a regulatory pathway is supports the usage and manufacture of high quality products by creating clinical evidence becomes extremely important. Making sure that everybody in the ecosystem has the same regulatory compliance, because in the evolutionary process, not everybody complies to the same level of requirements that governments impose, and because the number of SKUs, the number of units is so large, it becomes slightly difficult to administer. The pre and the post evaluation of the products becomes important. A complaint mechanism in our industry, the complaint mechanism is also missing. So electronic-based, mechanical device-based instruments or equipment, you still have a complaint mechanism, but otherwise, the voice of the patient in our kind of industry is not heard at all. So the patient also needs to get a voice, and then finally, making sure that you create systems for data security. A lot of these equipment are now, sending data back to the doctor or back to the hospital, and there really needs to be systems to manage all that. So it's a complicated and a fairly complex ecosystem, but it's a revolutionary.